I'd like to welcome everyone to our regular scheduled meeting of the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners this April 25th, 2017. We'll have our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner McLemore, invocation by Commissioner Holberg.
Please join me in prayer. Father, we're here today to ask for your blessings and guidance in the performance of our duties as elected officials. We pray for strength, love, knowledge, and understanding. Help us to recognize and solve the problems that are presented. Make our solutions fair and just to the best interest of everyone. Help us to overcome our shortcomings and keep us united as a team to work for the betterment of the city and its people. We pray in your name. Amen. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Got a motion by Mr. Holberg to amend the agenda.
Yes, sir. I'd like to add item 15. Let it be said, consider approval of the naming the pavilion of Raymond Head Jr. Park, the Darius Lamar Head Harris Pavilion for the Public Works and Utilities Department.
Second.
Got a motion and a second by Mr. Morrow. Any questions or comments? Being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Thank you. Mr. Holberg. Agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Holberg, second by Mr. McLemore to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by raising your hand. It's 7-0. Item number 1, recognition of graduates of the 2017 Citizens Police Academy. Chief Michael Yates will address.
Good evening. We have a few of our participants from the 2017 Citizens Police Academy here. We'd like for them to come forward. We have a little certificate for them. We had a good time, and I think they enjoyed it, and we learned a few things from these individuals too. I'm going to read their names out right quick, and it's Kimberly Higgins, Jonathan Jenrette, Carrie Lewis, Kimberly Matthews, Michelle Lynn Roberts, Jean Sidick, Linda Diane Smith, Truman Tinsley III, and Ellie Ziliak. I'm sure you recognize some of the familiar faces in here. They went through 8 weeks of rigorous training and kind of got to experience what we do on a daily basis firsthand. Captain Britt was our coordinator for the Citizens Police Academy, and I think he did a good job putting all the pieces together. And I wanted to just give a couple of a minute or so for Captain Britt to address everybody and give you all a moment to tell us what you thought about the program. So.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I want to thank the participants for coming out. We tried to build a little more hands-on this year in our program, and I think they all enjoyed it. My first time being a coordinator, along with the help from Lieutenant Michael Notel, who helped me on this. So we had a great time, and I think they did too. Mr. Smith helped out. He was our judge one night, and Jessica, she did a mock trial, and so we had a lot of fun. So you don't want to say anything? I know you do, Mr. Tinsley. Yes. You want to speak?
Don't be shy now.
Well, I just wanted to take the opportunity to let you all know this was a phenomenal experience for me, and I'm sure it was for my fellow students. And this gives us the opportunity to meet with the officers, learn what they do, and then go back to the community and say, okay, this is what they do every day. This is what they experience every day. And then we go out and say, okay, now you do that same experience, and then you just keep rolling it and keep rolling it and keep rolling it. And then by then you have that connection between the community and the officers. And I did not get the chance to do the Firemen's Academy, but that's something I could like to do next year. But all in all, phenomenal experience, wonderful officers. Thank you all for doing this, taking the time to do this for us. It's much, much respect for what they do every single day. Thank you.
Good evening. You too, Rodney.
No, I just want to give my thanks to Chief Yates, Captain Britt, for the work they did, the Citizens Academy. It was really enlightening, and kind of like the Citizens Academy we went through before that, I was very pleased with what we have here in Griffin. I'm sure you guys are as well. We've got a great team, and also talking to Mike about the relationship they have with Darryl Dix, we're very fortunate to have that. So, anyway, I appreciate it, and look forward to finishing up Fire Academy. And Tommy, you said our catering was good. You better check with Captain Brett. So anyhow, I appreciate the opportunity. I just couldn't eat, Roddy. Everything fried. Everything fried.
Y'all get in for a picture. Y'all get with the chief, want to take a picture. Want to get a picture of everyone.
Yeah, get together.
Gotta get in front. Usually when we're getting our picture made, it's not good, so.
For that? Those calls. Colberg Insurance. Our next item on the agenda is to consider proclamation declaring May to be Older Americans Month. Is Mr. Dave Lamb here?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the proclamation.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Holberg, second by Mr.
The older American.
The older, great American.
Mr. Morrow. All in favor signify by raising your hand. The 7-0. I'm gonna read this and I'll come down and we'll get a picture.
You may have to walk down there to him since he's an older
That
American.
is true. Come on down.
You know, I'm part of the older Americans. Don't make me walk too far, right?
I was just thinking that.
As long as you're not the grumpy older
Also,
American.
Lauren is with me. Lauren is supervisor at our senior center.
Oh, okay. I was about to say she's
And
gonna look
so
older.
it is a tremendous place. If you haven't been there, it's even good for breakfast and lunch, isn't it? Or for holding meetings.
You're not old. You a millennial?
No.
Never mind, they don't like for you to say that anymore. All right, we have a proclamation to join with the Council on Aging of McIntosh Trails, Inc. in honor of Older Americans Month, May 2017. Whereas there has been established a Council on Aging for McIntosh Trail, Inc., and whereas said Council on Aging has been established as a nonprofit entity, and whereas the Council on Aging was formed to accomplish the following objectives: A, to help plan, take surveys, administer, implement, operate, and evaluate various programs for the benefit of the older Americans in the counties of Pike and Spalding. B, to assist senior citizens to care for themselves, remain independent, and remain at home as long as possible, and to help them maintain their dignity and self-pride. And C, to provide such services to include, but are not limited to, leisure time, recreational activities, nutrition programs, and telephone reassurances, assistance in seeking employment, and other appropriate services as necessary for this valued segment of our population. And whereas the geographic area covered by the Council on Aging of McIntosh Trail, Inc. consists of the counties of Spalding and Pike, and whereas public awareness and support is critical to having the Council on Aging effectively achieve its stated objectives, and whereas the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners recognize that senior citizens have special needs and services, and whereas the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners desires to adopt this proclamation to show its support for the Council on Aging, and by so doing, show its support and concern for those seniors, citizens living in the City of Griffin. And whereas May is recognized nationally as Older Americans Month, now therefore be it resolved that in honor of Older Americans Month, the City Commission of Griffin does hereby adopt this proclamation in support of the Council on Aging, and at the same time urges the citizens of the City of Griffin to support said Council on Aging and its objectives. we do hereby declare that a copy of this proclamation be spread upon the minutes of the proceedings of this board, reflecting that I have hereunto caused the seal of the city of Griffin to be affixed on this, the 25th day of April, in the year of our Lord, 2017, declaring that the month of May be hereby proclaimed to be Older Americans Month, signed by myself and attested by Kenny Smith. Congratulations.
I think it'd be better senior seating at football games now too, for our Sunday school class.
I can make that happen, as long as you don't bring Mr. Tinsley.
Thank you all for approving this proclamation. It truly is an honor to serve the senior population, age 50 and older, for Griffin and Spalding County. Thank you.
I'm only 1 year away.
And just so y'all know, there are 12 regions across the state that include area agencies on aging and councils on aging. And this is an important part. The baby boomer generation, of which I am a member, will be putting a lot of pressure on services, and what y'all done and the other municipalities and counties involved in showing recognition for seniors and the need for seniors to have services to be able to remain in the community. So thank y'all and appreciate everything you do.
Item number 3, consider proclamation declaring May 7th through 13, 2017 to be Municipal Clerks Week. Ms. Teresa Watson, District 4 Director of the Georgia Municipal Clerks Association, will accept the proclamation.
Move we approve.
Got a motion by Mr. Morrow, second by Ms. Ward. All in favor signify by raising your hand. 7-0.
You actually could give me the clerk's or the Older Americans.
Oh, you could do those.
You can go either way.
You put batteries in the water too? Come on, Cora.
Proclamation in celebration of Municipal Clerks Week, May 7th through the 13th, 2017. Whereas the office of municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, the early keepers of archives were often called remembrancers. And before writing came into use, their memory was public record. These officials, sometimes called town criers, I should have read this before, town criers were the means of communication with the people of the town, since many were illiterate. When early colonists came to America, one of the first offices established and protected by law was that of clerk. The colony at Plymouth appointed a person to act as a recorder, and as recently as 1904, Los Angeles and nearby towns had official town criers. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Whereas the Office of Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens and the local governing bodies and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas responsibilities of the municipal clerk are diverse and vary greatly from one jurisdiction to another, but for the city of Griffin, duties include creating and or maintaining all minutes, ordinances, records, and documents, adhering to retention schedules, preparing meeting agendas and information packets, recording all official actions of the city commission, processing contracts and agreements, acting as keeper of the city's history and vital records, creating, distributing, and filing all correspondence and proclamations, processing and documenting all Open Records Act's requests and responses, overseeing elections and election filings, acting as key liaison between local government and its citizens, whereas the Georgia Municipal Clerks and Finance Officers Association, that's GMC FOA, was established in 1956 to promote integrity and excellence for city clerks, assistant clerks, and finance officers in the state of Georgia. The association accomplishes This through educational programs, professional development, and networking opportunities to strengthen and support its members and to enhance the image of the profession of its membership. Whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, serving as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the Office of Municipal Clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in honor of Municipal Clerk Week, the City Commission of Griffin does hereby adopt this proclamation in support of our municipal clerk, and at the same time urges the citizens of the City of Griffin to support said clerk and extend appreciation for the vital service they perform for all our citizens. We hereby declare that a copy of this proclamation be spread upon the minutes of the proceedings of this board, reflecting that I have hereunto caused the seal of the City of Griffin to be affixed on this, the 25th day of April, in the year of our Lord, 2017, declaring that the week of May 7th through the 13th, 2017, be proclaimed as Municipal Clerks Week. Signed by myself and attested by Mr. Smith.
Ms. Teresa made a presentation at the GMA district meeting this past week. It was excellent, so she'll be giving this a follow-up class next week for anybody that missed it.
For those of you who aren't
That were
in
not here,
attendance.
so she expects to see you next week in her office at 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning. Get a recap.
I just wanted to say thank you to the board, to my city manager, to staff, to city attorney, staff attorney, everybody who makes the clerk's job a little bit easier. I appreciate very much all of y'all's encouragement that helps those of us that are in support roles better do our jobs, not only for our governmental entities, but for our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, we will have citizens' comments. Do we have anyone on our left who would like to come forward and give comments? Please do. The chairperson opens the floor to comments from the audience. Comments should relate to a specific agenda item not listed on the agenda for a public hearing or to a concern within the jurisdiction of the City Commission. Commission meetings serve the purpose of conducting the city business and are not a forum for the unlimited expression of opinion. The chairperson reserves the right to limit comments to matters germane to city business and may refer speakers to the city manager or other staff for resolution. If you would, just give your name and address for the minutes.
My name is Russell Johnson. I live at 487 Philip Weldon Road, Milner, Georgia. I just wanted to come before the City Commission. In my business, I'm in the real estate business, mainly the rental business. I have a lot of contact with city departments and a number of city employees. And over the years, I've had to voice a few complaints to City Manager Kenny Smith. There have been few, but he's always had an open door and would listen. But I thought it was worthwhile tonight. I wanted to, important enough that I wanted to address the City Commission directly about some of my most recent experiences with city employees. And about a week ago, I have a house located at 1015 West Solomon, and I had raw sewage coming up in the yard. And so I went into my property, ran the water, and on, and it appeared that it wasn't coming from me, so I immediately called Danny Pryor. He came out and said, unusual, this is very unusual, but there's a private line between 16th and 17th Street on Griffin. He said, I don't know why it was allowed 100 years ago, but it's the fact of the matter. He said, but the fact also is that you have sewage coming up in your yard. So he sent out Anthony Head. They jetted it. We got no relief, and so Danny came back to me the next day and said, look, if you will provide an excavator, dig this up, let's see what's going on. I did. We dug it up, and it became very obvious that all the wastewater was coming from across the street to my property. And so then code enforcement gets involved, and they were very willing. They said, look, we'll just cut the water off from all the people across the street. We'll give them 24 hours, and we'll cut all their services off. And I thought, well, there's some single moms over there. Let's come up with something else. So we dug it up, and so Danny came out and said, yeah, it's obviously not your issue. What do you want to do? And I said, well, let's try to fix it, can we? So he calls Anthony, I call Bubba Head, and says, look, I think we got some pipe. Go get it. Long story short, that afternoon, he said, if you'll provide the excavator to fill the hole back up, if you'll provide the straw, the seed, the mulch, we'll stay here. If you'll provide some of the labor, we'll get it hooked back up and done. 5 o'clock that afternoon, we had it hooked back up, connected, and we were able to go to the 5 owners across the road and say, look, they were scared to death. There were single moms with children who said, we don't have the money to fix it. We don't know what to do. By 5 that afternoon, with the city's help, we had that line replaced, and he said, could we put a clean out on my property? I said, sure, I don't care. Put it on there. We did, but I'm telling you, by 5 o'clock that afternoon, we had it connected back with the city's help, and we're able to go across the street and tell those people there was no charge to them. All the EPD issues were done, dealt with. It was a done issue. And I can't thank you. I tell you, Danny Pryor and Anthony Head are always fast. They're always fast to respond and are always helpful. This was a private line. I don't know why it was put in privately 100 years ago. Nobody knows. Danny obviously doesn't have a clue. But the end result is your employees came and we got this thing resolved and dealt with and finished. And if I could just have a look, just another minute here. Also, I want to tell you that in my business, we constantly have the power turned on, the water turned on, the water turned off, the power turned off. And you have Miss Cunningham, Miss Bridges, and Miss Moore. Now, I'm telling you, if we get them an email by 10 o'clock in the morning, that day the water and power is on. There's no issue with them. They are fast, they are efficient, and they are most pleasant to deal with. And on that front, it's never pleasant to get a call from Gwen Dallas from code enforcement or Carol or David or Jennifer. But I'm telling you, those are the people that we deal with constantly, but they always are pleasant. As bad as a situation can be, they always make it workable and understand that, look, give me 24 hours. I didn't put the junk out there, but we will get it up and get it done. And also on that note, if I could just tell you this, like one of my last experiences, I have an apartment that the electrical service, something is wrong with the billing in it, and I called Kim, who's always very helpful, and she said, I'm going to send a gentleman out named Reggie Moore, and he's our energy auditor, and he will help you get this resolved. So she says, I'll have him get in touch with you, and he says, all right, I'll be in touch with you. Last Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock, I'm out working. I get a call from 229-6400, and I go, oh, crap, what now from the city? Mr. Moore, he says, hey, I'm in my office. I'm getting ready to go on vacation, but I came into my office to check my voicemail to see what I needed to be doing Monday week when I get back to town. And he said, I will see you Monday week, and we will get this issue resolved. And this past Monday, he was in my office working on getting it resolved. So, I have called Kenny on a few occasions and voiced a complaint, but I'm just telling you, overall, that you have a great set of employees out there who make our jobs a lot easier to do. And I'm reluctant to mention some of their names, because you always leave out somebody. But those are the departments and people that I have a lot of dealings with, and I could not ask for better. I just wanted you to hear that side of it. It's not always a complaint. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your complaint.
Russell, thank you for saying this, because we do have good employees, and oftentimes they don't get good recognition. So I treasure the fact that you came forward and called them out. So thank you.
They're top notch.
Thank you.
We have anyone else want to join Mr. Johnson? If you're not going to speak like Mr. Johnson, you can't. Never mind. Anyone else on my left? Anyone on my right would like to come before the board? All right. Thank you. We don't have any public hearings. We will go to our consent agenda. Mr. Morrow.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move we approve the consent agenda as published.
Second the motion.
We got a motion and a second to consider items 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 as printed. Do we have any questions or comments from any of the commissioners? Motion by Mr. Morrow, seconded by Mr. Holberg. All in favor signify by raising your hand. And that be 7-0. Item number 9, consider retirement from service of K-9 Yuri due to medical disabilities and surplus of asset and donation to former K-9 handler police officer Trey Williams.
Make a motion to approve the donation.
I second that.
We got a motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Holbert, second by Mr. Morrow. Any questions or comments? Being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Be 7-0.
Thank you.
Item number 10, consider approval of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Griffin and Southern Crescent Technical College to construct a joint-use fire training building on property owned by the City of Griffin at 1515 Industrial Drive.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion by Mr. Holberg,
Second.
second by Mr. Morrow. Any questions or comments? Being none? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Because I know I looked at the images on there. Have we, any comments from I saw the neighboring building. I didn't go to look up to see who that was, but any comments as far as what their feeling is on this?
You talking about from the bare metals?
Yeah, I guess it is. I
No,
didn't look.
we haven't actually discussed it with, we're on the other end of the property down by the trash exchange. We figure we're probably okay down
Okay.
there, so.
And how long is it gonna take you to do this, Tommy?
We're gonna try to be burning by June.
Burn them by June.
Yes, sir.
Could you do leaves?
Just in time for the heat.
Trees, leaves. You just dump everything right there, burn it. You know.
We got a motion and a second.
Just one.
That's an hour-long conversation.
Phil is supporting it.
All in favor signify by raising your hand. Be 7-0. We should talk about it, Ms. Ward, when here this morning. Item number 11, consider approval of bid results and work contract for intersection number 2, North Hill at Tuskegee Roundabout to McElroy, Inc. in the amount of $1,174,027.40 from 2009 SPOS proceeds for the Public Works and Utilities Department.
Chairman, I move we approve this bid.
Second.
We got a motion by Mr. Morrow, second by Ms. Ward. Any further questions, comments? Being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand. It's gonna be 7-0. Item number 12, consider approval of a resolution adopting the cemetery policies and procedures as amended.
Do we need to table this for the hearing?
Yeah, so we're requesting you table that till we can have some public hearings.
Make a
and bring
motion to
it-
table this for public, till we have public hearings.
Got a motion to table?
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Holbert, second by Mr. Morrow. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Be 7-0. Item number 13, consider on first reading an ordinance amending the Code of Griffin, Georgia at Chapter 42 Environment by enacting a new Article 5, Noise Control.
Mr. Chairman, I move with a question or comment here.
Second.
Move to approve.
We got a motion by Mr. Morrow, a second by Ms. Ward.
Jessica, this noise ordinance thing in all my years elected office has always been contentious and unenforceable, gets thrown in and out of court. Is this one you think gonna stick?
If you want me to respond
I
to
was
that.
gonna say, we let, Drew wrote this for us, so I am gonna defer to him on
Okay.
that question.
About the same time as the United States Supreme Court decided the case of Reed versus Town of Gilbert, which was a First Amendment decision, the Georgia Supreme Court upheld a very similar ordinance out of the city of Athens, Clark County. And actually, they decided the Athens case under the Georgia Constitution, not the U.S. Constitution. But it's been fairly evident in some time under Georgia law that our Constitution was really a little stricter than the U.S. Constitution had been in many respects. The court in that case said that their test that they applied was one of strict scrutiny, and that the Athens-Clark ordinance met that criteria. Now, this proposed ordinance is patterned on that. A number of other jurisdictions in the state of Georgia have followed the lead of that case law and have adopted similar ordinances. Chief Yates asked for this ordinance here. Now, we still don't know how it might fare if it goes into federal court under the U.S. Constitution. But
Well, one of the issues that always comes up is subjectivity and no way to measure decibels and trying to make it specific.
You're absolutely correct. That's the way that you used to have to do it. This one, though, looks at the noise and whether it can be audible from a certain distance.
Well, that sounds to me like, for us older Americans, I probably couldn't hear it. A young policeman could, so I'm just wondering if this is really specific enough to be enforceable, and I just kind of want to hear it is, but
Well, we feel like it
Worries
is,
me.
based on the current state of the, law in Georgia.
so do we send out our good hearing cops or our bad hearing cops?
I'll leave that up to Chief Yates.
We got a motion from Mr. Morrow. Did we get a second?
Yes.
Ms. Ward,
Ms.
second.
Ward, second.
Yes.
Any further questions or comments? Being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Be 7-0. Item number 14, consider appointment to the Three Rivers Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council to fill the unexpired term of Joanne Todd, who resigned and whose term is set to expire December 31st, 2017.
Dave, do we have a name recommendation?
Yes, sir, it was attached to your agenda. We had a nomination form completed by
forgotten the name.
Mr. Charles Chet Twilly.
Chet
Twilly.
Is he a resident of the city?
He lives at
he's my
129 Wagon Wheel
That's right,
Circle,
that's
Griffin,
directly in front of
Georgia.
my house.
And his name is
Chet, C-H-E-T.
Tilly?
Is what he goes by. His proper name is Charles.
I'd like to nominate Charles Chet Twilly for the Aging Advisory Council.
I move we close the nominations.
We got a
Second that
motion
motion.
to close nominations. We got a second. Motion was made by Mr. Morrow, seconded by Mr. Holberg. Any further questions, comments? Anybody have any other names? Being none, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Be 7-0. Item number 15, consider approval of the naming of pavilion at Raymond Head Junior Park, the Darius Lamar Head Harris Pavilion for the Public Works and Utility Department. Director of Public Works and Utilities, Brant D. Keller, will address.
Make a motion approved.
Got a motion by Mr. Holberg, second by Ms. Ward. Any questions or comments? Being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand. 7-0. That concludes our agenda items. We will now go to our city manager.
Based on this morning's discussion, did you want to, now that Commissioner Flowers is here, did you want to
Yeah, that's,
discuss the mayor thing again? Or did you want to do that at some other
we can,
point?
yeah, I think, what was the report we got this morning that we would, if Mr. Whalen could explain the short version.
Is there a short?
Basically, you'll hold a public hearing. This board will then adopt a resolution directed to the local legislative delegation, asking them for a local act that makes the charter change that you're requesting. It would be within their discretion whether or not to require a referendum. I think the consensus this morning was that the board would like to ask them in your resolution
Right.
to conduct that referendum. And then, if so, and if this passes at the 2018 general session of the General Assembly, the referendum would most likely be held in November of 2018, which will be a general referendum, general law referendum at that time. And if it then passes or gains the voter approval at that referendum, the actual election for the person who, as Doug's term winds up at the end of 2019, the general election for the new office of mayor would be held in 2019.
So we'll pay a referendum first.
We
We went over.
Yeah, we had a unanimous consensus that we wanted to go to a referendum vote, which is what you would request, so we can't do it before, but we can do it after, if that works for you.
Is there, I know you said that we can request it in the resolution, is there no way for us to get a more concrete agreement that it will absolutely be placed on the referendum, or is it at the sole discretion?
It's their legislative prerogative, it's not yours.
Okay.
We could put it.
You can
in
ask.
in the our resolution to, that we
Right,
prefer
but there's
this.
no way for us, they could say, if they say no, that we can't have a referendum, then that's dead.
That's correct.
Okay.
I can't imagine they would not go along with the will of
I
this
think they
board.
would do what you asked. I mean, I
Right.
don't know why they wouldn't.
Okay. I'll email y'all tomorrow, I need to think.
Okay, that's fine. We
fine.
just had that discussion after you left this morning and thought we'd bring it back up. So it doesn't have to be decided tonight, but within the next month or so, we need to kind of advise the legislators what the plans are, so.
Yes. I would say that just, so that the rest of the board is aware, I would say that in general, that sounds good to me. But just let me ask whatever little questions I need to ask of Drew or whatever, and then I'll be comfortable with it.
That'll be fine. That'll be fine. Other notes, this is Georgia Cities Week, and we're celebrating all week, especially on Thursday. Come down to Sixth Street Park for the food trucks and have lunch, and there's some flyers, I believe, over there on the table with the complete schedule on there, so if you're not familiar with that, get one. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, don't forget groundbreaking for Southern Crescent Technical College's Education and Training Complex at Ellis Crossing. Citizens Fire Academy is progressing. This Thursday is the second week, and we've got a good group in there, so if you want to stop by the headquarters building one Thursday night, welcome to do that. Have your budgets to you by the end of next week. That workshop is scheduled for the 23rd of May, so we will have them to you by the 5th of May, which will give you about 2.5 weeks or so to go through that and get with us and ask any questions and be prepared for that workshop on the 23rd. Also, the city's sponsoring a kids fishing rodeo for United Way on Saturday, May the 6th at 1 o'clock at Wyoming-Tyus, and we'll have hot dogs and drinks, and all the money that is being raised for that is for United Way. I think the entry fee is $5, and hot dogs and drinks are $5, so we hope to raise a little money for our pledge to United Way. And that's all my comments. Thank you very much.
Mr. Whalen,
I have nothing further.
Mr. Holberg.
I was hoping Mr. Russell Johnson would stay here to hear those testimonies, all the different departments he deals with is what I deal with, and people say, well, they just show you favoritism because you're an elected official. It's great to hear that from Russell and from other citizens about the hard work our staff does. Ryan McLemore's birthday is May 1st. I remember to get Ryan. The gentleman in the rear was Frankie Goldstein. He was my baseball coach for Mayfield Motors and when I was 14 and 15-year-old. And his dad was the late Louis Goldstein, and my dad was the city commissioner. I tried to take the more compassionate qualities of Frankie than those two gentlemen to enjoy life and know that it's supposed to have fun some point in time. But Frankie was here tonight. The dinner on the bridge is this week. Want to thank staff for all their hard work on that. It's going to be a great fundraiser for the downtown council. And then, if you haven't heard, Our Lady Jags, Spalding High School, went 18-0 in the regular season this year. Only 2 teams out of over 550 teams in the entire state in girls soccer accomplished that feat, which is amazing. They scored almost 100 goals, only allowed 3 goals against them this year. Nobody from the region scored against them. And tonight they're playing at 7:30 in the first round of the state playoffs. So hopefully the Lady Jags will roll and keep going and go undefeated. And
Where's that at? Where are
they'll be at home.
They
more-
at home
so
playing?
They'll be
Okay,
able to
cool.
play home most every game. And the guy Jags, they're going to tomorrow night. We're going to Druid Hills for the state playoffs.
All right.
No comments.
Mr. Broughton.
Couple things. As I passed out the new Historic Cemeteries booklet, it was a group effort, our merry band of folks. I'll take credit for it, but others did the work. So I'd falsely take credit, but Sherry Thaxton was very instrumental in working on this. Cindy Barton did an immense amount of research, and Brian Haynes did most of the photography and the layout, and I think they've done an extremely professional job. They're on sale at the cemetery office and the archive and the chamber, $5 a piece. I think it's an extraordinarily professional job, and
It's really good.
it'll help promote our city, I think. And secondly, Truman Tinsley, who was up here, graduate of the Police Academy, also graduated from Citizen Government Academy and is now in the Fire Academy. He is really working hard to understand the city, and he probably knows more than most. Truman lives 2 doors down from me. He's retired from the management of Delta Airlines, well-educated with an MBA and other kudos. I'm proud to say that he's going to run for my seat, and I think we're lucky to have such a incredibly qualified gentleman, and he's retired, so he's got time to work all the time and hard. So that's Mr. Truman Tinsley, and I'm excited about my replacement.
Mr. Tinsley, can you start tonight?
We can make a resolution right now to remove Mr.
Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. Ms. Ward? I do just want to thank the board, thank the staff. Whenever you hear somebody come forward and make complaints like Mr. Johnson did about our staff, it lets you know what kind of staff we have.
You say complaints, you mean compliments?
I meant compliments. Normally, you don't get those.
You're used
So,
to those. These are
exactly. Thank everybody for supporting the Darius Harris Pavilion. And I want to welcome to our City Commission meeting Ms. Tatiana Lures. I think that's Ellie Ziljak's sister is here joining us tonight. And with that, I will entertain a motion for us to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.